The words were simple. Just 4 words. But the moment Jimin said them, more than 50,000 people inside Stanford Stadium felt their hearts shatter and heal at the exact same time. See you next time. That was it. No dramatic speech. No grand gesture. Just Jimin, standing under a shower of silver confetti, his voice trembling ever so slightly, his eyes glistening under the lights, and a soft smile that somehow carried both gratitude and heartbreak. And the second those words left his lips, the entire stadium erupted. Some fans screamed. Some cried. Some simply stood frozen, trying to process the reality that one of the most unforgettable weekends of their lives was coming to an end. Because this wasn't just the end of another concert. This was the final night of the BTS World Tour ARIRANG in Stanford. The last show. The last bow. The last chance for California Army to share a night with BTS before they moved on to the next chapter of the tour. And somehow, Jimin turned that goodbye into a memory no one will ever forget. From the very beginning, Day 3 felt different. Even before the gates opened, there was a bittersweet energy surrounding Stanford Stadium. Fans arrived hours early, many wearing the same outfits they had worn on days 1 and 2. Some carried handmade banners. Some clutched gifts they had hoped to somehow pass to the members. Others simply stood in line quietly, soaking in the realization that this was the last time they would hear those voices echo through this stadium. The excitement was still there. Of course it was. But beneath the laughter and anticipation was a quiet sadness. A feeling every ARMY knows too well. The feeling of wanting time to slow down. The feeling of wishing one more night could last forever. As sunset painted the California sky in shades of gold and lavender, thousands of purple ARMY bombs began to glow. The stadium transformed into a galaxy. And somewhere backstage, Jimin prepared for one final night in Stanford. Did he know how emotional this night would become? Did he know that a single sentence would leave an entire stadium in tears? Maybe. Or maybe, like ARMY, he was simply trying to live in the moment. The concert began with explosive energy. The opening visuals flashed across the massive screens. The bass shook the stadium. And when BTS emerged, the roar from the crowd was so loud it felt almost unreal. Every member looked incredible. Jungkook radiated confidence. Jin was playful and charming. Suga delivered his verses with quiet intensity. And then there was Jimin. From the moment he stepped into the spotlight, the atmosphere shifted. The screams intensified. Phones trembled. Fans clutched their hearts as his image filled the giant screens. He looked breathtaking. His movements were fluid and precise. His voice was rich with emotion. And his expressions carried that unmistakable warmth that makes every performance feel personal. Throughout the night, Jimin seemed especially present. He smiled longer. He waved more often. He lingered at the edge of the stage, taking in the faces before him. It was as if he was trying to memorize everything. The lights. The voices. The endless sea of purple. And maybe, deep down, he knew he was saying goodbye too. The performances were extraordinary. Every song seemed to hit harder. Every lyric felt more meaningful. When Jimin danced, the stadium erupted. When he smiled, thousands screamed. And when he looked out into the crowd with that soft, grateful expression, fans felt an ache in their chests. Because there was something vulnerable in his eyes. Something unspoken. As the night progressed, that emotion only deepened. During one of the talk segments, the members shared stories and thanked ARMY for the incredible energy in Stanford. They laughed. Teased each other. Promised to return. But when it was Jimin's turn to speak, the atmosphere changed. The crowd quieted. Jimin held the microphone with both hands. For a moment, he said nothing. He simply looked out across the stadium. The expression on his face was tender. Almost overwhelmed. Then he smiled. That small, familiar smile that always seems to carry more emotion than words ever could. He thanked ARMY for the love they had given BTS over the past 3 nights. He said Stanford had felt like home. He admitted he was sad that the final night had arrived. And as he spoke, his voice softened. Fans were already crying. But no one was prepared for what would happen later. The concert moved into its final stretch. The energy remained electric, but a growing sense of urgency filled the air. Every song felt precious. Every interaction felt like something to hold on to. Jimin continued to pour everything into his performance. He danced with breathtaking intensity. He laughed with the members. He waved to fans in every section. And with every passing minute, the reality became harder to ignore. This was almost over. Then came the encore. Confetti cannons fired. The members returned in relaxed outfits, smiling and visibly emotional. They wandered freely across the stage, soaking in the love from ARMY one last time. Jimin looked radiant. Hair slightly tousled. Cheeks flushed. Eyes shining. He waved to every corner of the stadium, making sure no section felt forgotten. And then he stopped. Standing near the center of the stage, Jimin looked out at the sea of purple lights. The cheers softened. The camera zoomed in. His face filled the giant screen. And in that moment, something in his expression changed. He looked deeply moved. Almost as if he was fighting back tears. He raised the microphone. The stadium grew quiet. Thousands held their breath. And then, with a soft voice and a smile full of love, Jimin said, "See you next time."
That was all it took. The reaction was immediate. A wave of emotion swept through the stadium. Fans screamed through tears. Others covered their faces. Some hugged the people beside them, because those 4 words carried so much meaning. They were a goodbye, but they were also a promise. A promise that this wasn't the end. A promise that the connection between Jimin and ARMY would continue. A promise that no matter how painful goodbyes feel, there will always be another moment waiting somewhere in the future. And perhaps that's why the words hit so deeply. They acknowledged the sadness of parting, but they replaced it with hope. Jimin wasn't saying farewell forever. He was saying, "We'll meet again." As the crowd roared, Jimin smiled shyly. He placed his hand over his heart. And for a brief moment, he seemed just as emotional as the fans looking back at him. That image became the defining memory of the night. Jimin, surrounded by confetti, smiling through emotion, offering 4 simple words that comforted tens of thousands of people. The members gathered together at center stage. They bowed deeply. They waved. And even as the music swelled and the lights began to dim, Jimin kept looking back at the crowd. As if he didn't want to let go. Social media exploded within minutes. Clips of the moment spread across every platform. Fans posted captions like, "I'm crying all over again. He said 4 words and destroyed me. This is why Jimin owns my heart." Goodbye has never sounded so comforting. And perhaps the most touching response. He didn't say goodbye. He gave us hope. That is exactly what made the moment so powerful. Jimin has always had a unique ability to make people feel safe. His words are rarely complicated, but they carry sincerity. And when he speaks from the heart, fans can feel it instantly. For many ARMYs, BTS has been a source of strength during difficult times. Their music has provided comfort, encouragement, and healing. And Jimin, with his gentle warmth, has often felt like a reassuring presence. So hearing him say, "See you next time," felt like more than a farewell. It felt like a promise to continue walking together. Even after the lights go out. Even after the stadium empties. Even after the tears dry. That promise matters. Because fandom is built on moments like these. Moments where artists and fans meet in a shared space of emotion and understanding. Moments where a simple sentence becomes a lifeline. Moments where love feels tangible. As fans slowly left Stanford Stadium, many were still crying. Others smiled through their tears. They replayed videos, shared photos, and held tightly to the memory of Jimin's final words. The concerts were over, but the feeling remained. A feeling of gratitude, a feeling of connection, a feeling of hope. Jimin's goodbye reminded everyone that endings are never truly endings. They are pauses, breaths between chapters, and somewhere down the road, another stage will light up. Another crowd will scream, and Jimin will smile once again. Until then, ARMY carries moments like this in their hearts. The confetti, the purple lights, the trembling voice, and those 4 unforgettable words. See you next time. So let me ask you, how did you feel when Jimin said those words? Did you cry? Did you smile? Did you feel comforted knowing this wasn't really goodbye? Tell me in the comments. And if this beautiful Stanford farewell touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more emotional BTS moments. Because some performances amaze us, some moments move us, and some simple words stay with us forever.